Thank you, Mr. Miller. It is a pleasure to be here today, and I try not to miss an opportunity to share with others this exciting story. We just, for short terms, call it the Asian CARP story. But I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to share this rather positive, challenging journey, far-reaching impact, by the way, this quest that a group of businessmen in Grafton and the city of Grafton have taken to arrive and get to where we are. I've called it The Quest, a positive vision of the future. We've introduced Mr. Ben Allen. I'll change the speech. I was going to say a few things about Ben, and but they're all positive, trust me. Robert Ballard gave us a great definition of quest. He said, "My first view of the Titanic lasted less than 2 minutes, but the stark sight of her laying on the ocean floor will forever be ingrained in my memory. My lifelong dream was to find the Titanic, and during the past 13 years, the quest to find her has dominated my life." Somebody mentioned after reading that, I wonder if you have or we have a quest that would dominate us for 13 years or push us to get out of bed early in the morning. Well, Grafton too has a quest, maybe not as momentous as finding the Titanic, but we too have a vision. It's a rather impelling passion to accomplish a defined purpose, to provide jobs for not only Grafton, but for our area, to help us financially in terms of taxes and other entities there, and basically to create a better future for the residents in the city of Grafton. It's a quest that has certainly fueled our fires. I defined it as a quest that keeps us from drifting downstream and gathering debris. It keeps our minds on focus. It keeps us motivated. It's been 2 years. It's taken 2 years to arrive where we are today. And so I'm going to share this journey, this quest with you, and show you the importance of this CARP business to our area. I believe that success is in the journey, not merely the destination. Our quest, our positive vision of the future, is not daydreaming. It's not a fantasy. It's not living in a bubble bath of emotion. Our quest has a definite purpose and a definite plan and a definite path that we've been following. I'm sure most of you remember Alice in Wonderland, and when she arrived there were a couple of roads going different directions, and she said to the Mad Hatter, "Can you tell me where these roads lead, where they're going?" He said, "Well, that all depends. What's your destination? Where are you going?" And she replied, "I don't really know where I'm going." And he responded, "Then it really doesn't matter which road you take if you don't know where you're going." So we really had a definite idea and a plan in terms of where we wanted to take this opportunity in the city of Grafton. I can remember, there's other issues, by the way, that I could quickly share. You've probably heard of those, and that is our plan to get people to build a home in Grafton. That got national attention, by the way. The New York Times, the Seattle Times, public radio. We were getting calls from all over. And it was a simple meeting. Ben Allen was there, and a few other people met up at the Wild Goose to have coffee. And I said, "I've got to do something with all these lots we have. They've been sitting there since the 90s, and we've had contractors come in. They can't think, how are we going to get rid of these lots? We need to get houses on them." And somebody said, "Give them away." I said, "Give them away?" "Yes. If they'll build a house on that lot, we'll give them the lot. That way we get property taxes, sewer and water, and we don't have to spend $600 a week cutting all of the grass up there. Well, it's worked. And I'm pleased to tell you that this year, by the end of spring or early summer, we'll have 17 new homes and villas built in the city limits of Grafton. Not to put down Alton or Godfrey, but quite honestly, that's more residential homes than both those cities combined. We just started with a simple concept and a simple idea, and it's become gratefully successful in our city. The company of which Ben is one of the members and heads up that company, we just referred to it in my speech here. I noticed on your program said I'll talk to you about the CARP business. Had a very simple beginning. There were two gentlemen, one Gray or Butch McGee. He's been a lifelong friend of Ben Allen, retired successful businessman, and he came to Grafton. So Ben and Butch were sitting at the loading dock drinking ice water, I think, and they were trying to come up with an idea for a new business. That was one of the desires of Butch. And Ben said, you know, what can we do to bring a new business or get a new business going in Grafton? And they thought and thought, and nothing was clicking. And as they sat there, all of a sudden, these carp started to leap out of the water right in front of them. I've seen that many times, that you can sit there and watch the carp jumping out of the water. And they looked at each other and said, I wonder if there's a market for those carp. I wonder if there's a way that we could find a use for them. Now, I gave an excerpt of this speech somewhere else, and somebody asked me, oh, do you know how many drinks they had that day? When they sat there and decided that we could make a business out of these fish jumping out of the water. But in reality, that's how it started. Just like that. No exaggeration. They found out after months of research and going to conferences and traveling all the way from New Orleans up to Michigan, that, number one, it was a great environmental problem. I was raised on the Great Lakes. I know the damage it would do to tourism and the fishing industry. We're talking billions of dollars if they get into the Great Lakes. They knew and found out that they also destroyed our fishing industry. Can't put a net out and draw it in and have to return or destroy 80% of your catch because they're Asian carp. It's basically destroyed our commercial fishing industry up and down the Illinois and the Mississippi River. It's a major environmental, ecological problem. Now the government has poured and is still pouring millions of dollars in to find a solution. I remember Ben sitting and talking to us and said, one scientist said, why don't we just poison the rivers? And we'll kill everything and that'll kill the carp. I guess it'll kill us because we drink the water. But anyway, I sat there and thought, you know, it's really the private market that solves problems. Not against government. But you know, we're still spending millions of dollars to try and find out a way to get the carp out of the river, and we've got a group that said, we'll go out and catch them. Governor Quinn took one of our quotes, if you can't beat them, eat them. I don't know that that's our slogan, but we certainly feel that we have a solution to this environmental problem by radically diminishing the number of them. And I'll talk about this in a few minutes, we have an order, just our company, for over 35 million pounds to be shipped to China over the next 3 years. The carp that we're talking about are plankton eaters. They're not what I always thought of as a carp, bottom feeders. These are plankton eaters. And I have tasted them, eaten them. It's a very firm white meat, good tasting, the highest fish in the river in terms of omega-3 oil, and highly prized by people in the Pacific Rim. Now they do have a problem, one problem, that is the bone structure, but there are there's people smarter than us who figured out a way to handle that. And so the good news is not only are they plentiful, actually to the point of being a nuisance, but they have value, great value to China and other countries in the Pacific Rim, and they have great value to American markets in terms of developing value-added CARP products. And this is one of the issues that's being discussed even as I talk to you about it. I can remember Ben saying, I think it was Ben or Butch, that said to me, Tom, we've just discovered our oil well. They found out it was a problem, it could help the environment. They found out there was value added, that could produce a product. They found out that it's in great demand in the Pacific Rim, in China. We've got our quest has led us to a real great opportunity for a business. And Ben defined it as, we just found an oil well in Grafton, it's out in the river. I like to define Ben and Butch and some of the creators of this in this term. It's a famous quote. Some men see things and ask why. I dream of things that never were and ask why not. The people that are successful, the visionaries, and people like Ben and others, people that are on a quest, ask the question. They dream of things that never were and take the next step and say, why not? Visionaries are excited rather than intimidated by risks and intimidated by critics. I have a quote from Teddy Roosevelt that I love. It says, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena. Far better it is to dare mighty things, to win glorious triumphs, even though checkered by failure, than to rank with those poor souls who neither enjoy or suffer much, because they live in the gray twilight that knows neither victory or defeat." And we have some exceptional men, I think, that have fulfilled that quote that I just gave you. They're willing to dare mighty things. They've built what I call a field of dreams. And now the calls start coming in. The first one was a company called China State Farms. That's not an insurance company. That's China State Farm was a conglomerate, of course. Remember, we are dealing with a communist government. So China State Farms, and Ben, I don't know the number of months. It just seemed like forever we were dealing with this company and thought everything was ready to go. Because you see, we had an order for fish here, but we needed one more thing. We needed a partner. We needed financial investment. That was the last link in the chain to complete this deal. We had, and I'll tell you about the other investors. So we thought we had it with China State Farm. And I can remember being excited, and I would get at every council meeting, meet twice a month, say, you know, things are looking really great and exciting. I think it's just a matter of a couple of weeks or a month, and I'm going to have some great news. Well, the great news was that China State Farm went bubble up over in China, and I didn't quite figure out how in the world are we going to handle this. be frank with you, I was rather terrified at one point. Now what do we do? I didn't have a financial investment, but certainly my ego was on the line as a mayor. And then we got a call, and another rather large group came from China. I think there were 3 from China, 2 from America, and they landed in Grafton, stayed for 2 or 3 days, and it was right during the time of our Christmas, a big Christmas party down at the Grafton Winery. So I reserved a table, and here these nice, good Chinese communists came and sat down and celebrated Christmas with us. And I'm not exaggerating, I even got letters saying, Mayor, we wish you very, very gay, honorable Christmas. And they were trying to explain, you know, greet me. And they had a great time. And one of the things that impressed them was not only the topography, the land, but also the people of Grafton. Thought we were still waiting to see if that was going to work out. They did give us an order for a large quantity of the fish, but we still weren't quite there. I'm sitting at one of the local restaurants and having a cup of coffee, and my secretary says, Tom, you need to get back to City Hall. There's 2 Chinese people standing here wanting to see you. I said, I don't think that's possible. I don't have an appointment with any Chinese. She said, well, they're here and they don't speak English. So I said, I'll be right there. Well, one spoke broken English. And I got there, and as I walked by, I said, whatever you do, get Butcher Ben on the phone and tell him to get here right away. I don't know what's going on here. Well, make a long story short, these 2 guys rented a van in New York, and it wasn't a new van, by the way. Drove 17 straight hours. Ben knows I'm not exaggerating this. 17 straight hours to get to Little Grafton from New York City. The one gentleman flew from Beijing to New York, then they rented the van in Pennsylvania, and drove 17 straight hours to get to Grafton. And they come in, and they've got these maps, and they're showing us. Remember, the one didn't speak any English, the other barely. And they kept pointing to, I think it was the Yellow or Yangtze River, I figured that out. 17 million people, and explained they wanted to get in with us in this CARP business. And we explained, well, we need a partner, and they said, yes, we understand. Well, we spent a lot of time with them, and we were very gracious to them. Ben talked with them. Ben asked most of the questions. And they left, and as they were getting in the van, Ben and I are standing in the parking lot, and I said, I don't know if our ship just came in or not. Doesn't look like a very good van, right? I said, they just drove 17 straight hours without an appointment. I said, I don't know, Ben, hope, we'll see. Well, we wrote them a letter 2 weeks later and explained how pleased we were and grateful that they took the time to come to Grafton, and said, you know, we're still looking if you have, you know, for investors. And lo and behold, get this letter, they're on their way. But this was the real McCoy. Johnson Liu was his name. He's the American, lives in New York City, and he brings this real investor over. And again, I won't get into the details of how much money, but I can tell you this, that they sat down and talked with Ben Allen, and I just happened to be there at the meeting, and before it was all over, before they left that room, we had the large sum of money that we needed to complete this task. I think the total enterprise is close to $6 million, so we're not talking, you know, a few $100s or a few $1,000s. And what a relief that was. And then now we've gone on from there, and then we have another group, Falcon Protein, and they have joined our company. They're sort of a green tech company out of Auburn University. They produce equipment, or have the equipment, that's going to produce omega-3 oil and fish pellets, so that there will be no waste, no odor, nothing going into the sewer system. So now we've completed this great circle. We're going to employ over 30 people plus fishermen. We're going to help solve an environmental problem. In time, the traditional fishing industry will return to Grafton. We've got an American company with some foreign investment providing jobs for Americans and shipping products from America over to China. Success produces success. Following that, it just encourages people, trust me. I've got a gentleman who's just made a large investment with partners from, down in Missouri. They're trying to think of the big
resort area.
Resort area. Branson, I'm sorry. Branson, Missouri. They're right now, in fact, yes, they're installing a big zip line. I'm too old to get on that thing, but there's a great market there. Be an hour-and-a-half ride. The marketing plan, I saw it. It'll attract people from all over. And ours, because of the hills and the views we have, they've indicated it'll be the best in the whole area. It's been an exciting trip, I can tell you that. This quest, this journey, however, is also filled with highs and lows and risks and stress and other issues. I can tell you, truthfully, there was many a night when I literally didn't go to sleep, and I know Ben didn't either. I'm sharing one last thought with you. There may be some people here that are thinking of embarking on a quest, or you have a vision, and it's simple, 3 L's. Take a leap of faith rather than huddle in fear. You can't think your way out of the box. The only way to get out of that, whether it's by desperation or because you have an exciting program, take the leap of faith, and when you do, you'll find there will be people there to catch you who will support you and help you along your way.